Hey, Adam.
Yeah.
You ever narrated anything?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have an inner narrative?
No.
I'm going to hook you up today.
All right, I'll find it,
You'll find it.
but I won't follow it. I'm Adam Maness,
And I'm Peter Martin.
and you're listening to the You'll Hear It podcast.
Daily jazz advice coming at you.
Coming at you today, sponsored by Anytune. Anytune is an amazing tool for any musician who's serious about getting better. It's an incredible app that's more than just being able to slow down without losing pitch, although that is a incredibly handy feature. You can
That's
do
their
things,
marquee feature.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's not their only.
As you're doing that, you can set markers that you can easily navigate in the track that you're transcribing or trying to play along with. You can take out instruments virtually at will,
Yeah.
with a very beautiful interface. In fact, the entire interface is so intuitive and easy to use. And
You don't need to look. There's no instruction. Well, there is, I'm sure.
no, I'm sure there is, but
But you don't need it.
No, it's delightful,
Right.
and it's just been a great tool for me personally as I've been shedding the last 6 months or so. So, wholly endorse Anytune.
It's a serious app for serious musicians that helps bring more joy to the grind of becoming a great jazz musician. That sounds like something we wrote, but actually the good folks at Anytune wrote that. And when we read that, we were like, oh yeah, this is going to work. Because it's, it's really like, it's that tool when you have practitioners and the people who are making the tool and the engineers, everybody lined up with the kind of same goal, really magical things can happen.
For sure. And we've already got great feedback from our listeners who've gone and checked it out. One of our awesome transcribers, Max.
Oh,
Max
man.
is a seriously big-eared musician who does some transcribing for us here at Open Studio, and he had some nice things to say.
I know.
about
I was
it.
shocked that he didn't know about it, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really
He's kind
good
of his
stuff.
own Anytune, Max.
It is. I know. It's like Max is getting excited about it. So anyway, go to anytune.us/ you'll hear it. And it'll link you to a nice little deal there. You can download the free version. You can go pro at any time, pick your platform, all that good stuff. Details are there.
That's right. And so yesterday was Cyber Monday.
That's right.
Do you know what today is?
Today, I'm excited. Of course, I know today.
Yeah,
We're both excited.
This is great.
Because we're big-hearted guys.
Well, it gets so commercial around
It
this time of
does.
year.
It's like a little antidote.
We have a company that we must be commercial for, but there's also some really great things about this time of year. One of my favorite things is how giving people can get around this time of year,
That's right.
thinking about other folks besides just the shopping frenzy. So
And yeah, so today's Giving Tuesday.
Giving Tuesday.
And I think this started as, I don't know the whole history of it, but I think it was kind of a backlash against all the me, bye, line up and push people out of the way to get my $99 flat screen.
hey, don't get me wrong, I love me.
I love flat screens. But, I mean, how many can you get? No, but I think that, we really look at everything we do. I mean, the podcast, this is about the community. I mean, the listeners we have and how this has developed this year. I mean, we started last year from nothing, and it's kind of built up, and it's really because of the listeners. And so you guys have been so great to us and said, thank you for giving us all this. But I mean, we've gotten more, I think, from you guys and from this whole thing
sure.
than certainly we've given. So in the spirit of that, I think we can all come together today. And there's so many different ways to give. We're going to just tell you a little bit. Should we do it at the end? Or
Let's tease it a little bit. We'll
tease
just
a
say
little bit,
that our organization that we've picked for Giving Tuesday is an organization that's near and dear to both of our hearts and to our entire musical community here in St. Louis, and that's Pianos for People. We've talked about it on the podcast before.
Yes.
They provide free pianos to families that can't afford them, real upright pianos that go
renovated
and rehabbed, and then moved at no cost to families who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford them, who are interested in piano lessons. They move the piano in their house, and then, as if that weren't enough, they offer free piano lessons.
Yes,
to those
and
families.
they've created a community.
Yeah.
That's the amazing thing.
It's an incredible place.
It's a they have two locations here in the South St. Louis and in Ferguson, and they have great. I mean, it's just a first class operation.
I was just there a couple weeks ago at the St. Louis location, doing some master classes with some of the young, exceptionally talented students that they have there. And it's more than piano lessons for those kids. It's a place to hang out, and it's a place to be safe and to enjoy music with each other. And some of the kids that come out of there are actually going on to the Berklee College of Music, like
Yes.
our buddy Royce.
Yeah.
But not every kid. And
No.
sometimes it's just a place to grow and to be with people who like music as much as you do. So if you care about that kind of thing at all, we encourage you to either go to openstudiojazz.com, and any course you buy today, proceeds will go towards Pianos for People, or go to pianosforpeople.org directly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can learn about the organization, or feel free to give in your community. But
This was way more than a teaser. Sorry.
I know. You know what? This is good. This is important. So we're doing it today. Giving. What we're doing with Open Studio Jazz. A portion of everything we do. What we're calling it actually is get a course, give a lesson.
That's right.
And but it's also get a course, give a piano, because
That's
they're doing the whole thing.
Yeah. If you buy a course at Open Studio, if today's your day,
That's right.
partial proceeds go to Pianos for People,
Right.
and you're helping these kids get
And you'll
pianos
see all
and
the
piano lessons.
details. If you go to openstudiojazz.com, it's going to be right there at the top all day today. And also, you can also look at it as get a gift, give a lesson. So if you want to just get a gift for somebody, and it doesn't have to be for Pianos for People, whatever, we're still going to donate a portion of those proceeds directly to Pianos for People today. So if you've been thinking about knocking out some shopping and maybe you missed the other deals, you're going to pay regular price today, but you're going to really be matching those dollars for some kids that really need, and not only need, they want it. I mean, these kids are like excited. It's transformative. I mean, you were just there. It's an amazing
incredible
thing.
You're going to be changing lives
Yeah.
and actually helping to create new music from talented young
And I
musicians.
think, Giving Tuesday, it's important. There's so many great causes we can give to. So we would never say that, partnering.
Yeah,
with-
no matter
with
what you do, do something.
Do something. But I mean, it's fun, like thinking about music, because music does it's not, you could say, well, some people are hungry, they need food. Absolutely. But music can be the food for the soul. Sounds corny, but it's true.
It's
I mean, it transforms lives. So anyway, I'm excited about today.
I love today,
I feel
man.
warm-hearted,
I love
man.
the choice. The title of the episode is "Find and Follow Your Narrative."
Right. And I've been wanting to do this for a while, and we talked about it, and then you were kind enough, I said, you understand what I'm talking about? You're like, not really, let's just jump into this. So this will be kind of a unrehearsed, as it often is here.
I mean, I like the way it sounds, but I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so let me just give you a kind of the big picture, then we can see, banter a little bit on the nitty gritty. What I mean for this is, like, we're all going through our lives. We all are going on a story, whether you know it or not. Like, the story of your life is being written every day, every minute.
Mm-hmm.
And, once you die, it's complete. That's the end. It's the beginning of the end. It's a movie. It's a story. It's a thing. And so I think so much of our life, from when when you're a newborn, your story is being pretty much controlled by your parent or whoever's caring for you. And then as you become a little bit more independent, you start to take a little bit of control. But I think a lot of times we're trying to live the version of our life that we think others think we should, be it our spouse, our parents, our friends, our employer, our children, our society. And most people just sort of drift around, And I just, what music has done, what jazz music, what improvised music, what this wonderful culture has given to me, and I think to all of us that are willing to accept it, is a chance to really be confident in, following, creating, and sculpting our own narratives. And I think that when we do this, I mean, it sounds very like highfalutin and all that, but when we tap into this and start to understand it and realize it's not actually a lot of work, it's more just getting comfortable with the mindset of it and say, you know what, I'm going to narrate. I'm not going to just be a player in the Peter Martin story. I'm going to be the director and the producer and the whole thing. And I'm going to narrate it as I go, as opposed to letting somebody else narrate and say, let me see how I can fit into that story, And I think it's important for all of us because, to be free and to be able to have something to say as an improviser and as a composer and as a player, and to be able to hopefully, I mean, for me, a big part of the narrative of my life I want it to be is to bring joy to people through my piano playing or through my writing or through whatever it is. Like, that's what I feel like I was put here for, or through my teaching or through any of the things that I do. But I want to be able to control that. Now, it doesn't mean that, I don't listen to anybody else. No, it's not about that. It's really about not getting off track of other people. Like, what happens is everybody's stories start to collide, which is great. That's civilization and that's community and all that. But when we get them lined up and say, look, I'm not going to do anything as I'm telling my story and following through that's going to mess up your story, or try to be like, you got to come on my story. Well, I did with the podcast. I was like, come on this podcast journey.
That's part of my story now, too.
And yeah, exactly. So yeah, there's all these different things, but I just think it's important for us as artists. I'm not even gonna say as improviser, as artists. That's the important thing.
That's funny that this is what you mean by this, because I was just having a very nice conversation with another musician the other day about story and narrative and how important it is for us as we go on this journey and we try to grow and we try to make the best art we can make, and that having a direction and a story. So what you talked about is something that I would describe as having a set of personal values that are ever evolving. It's not like you're 18 and you're like, okay, here are my absolute values for the rest of my life. But we actually have a pretty good idea by then of who we are and where we are with things and what we'll accept. That's going to evolve as you get older and you get wiser and you go through life experiences. But setting those in place and then here's where it gets tricky. Not comparing your narrative to your friends or your colleagues or the people that you aspire to be like fully, and suffering this game of comparison that I didn't get here by the time I was 25,
right?
Or I wasn't on this band when I was 30,
right?
Or I couldn't do this when I was 40. All of that is BS, and actually goes against the healthy part of our narrative, which is that we direct, as you said, we direct where we go, and we put these values in place, and then we believe in that story. A story is such a powerful human tool that we've used. I mean, every single great thing that's happened in history has happened via some kind of narrative. That's how we relay things to each other.
Right.
It's not just a list of things. We're much better at stories. So, I think it's always great to take a step back and sort of say, what is my narrative? Where am I at in my story?
Right.
Where do I want my story to go? And then what do I need to do? What are the values that are going to guide me through that story in a way that's me?
I love that. Yeah, and I think that the values, absolutely, they are almost like the guardrails, so that as you're telling your story, you can stay on track once you know what that is, and you can rely on those.
Is that outside of my values? It's a yes or no question. That's what's so important about values.
And if your narrative changes and you're able to value it, you might say, well, maybe my values changed, or maybe my story needs to change, but it's just important that it's yours, that is for all of us. And I think that, the joy is like, this is not a thing that we become our solitary thing and we're living in a bubble, because that's fun. And really that's, to me, is what like friendship and companionship and community is about, is learning about other people's stories and like their journeys and supporting their journeys, not changing your own narrative and story, but seeing how they can weave in and out at times and supporting that journey and uplifting. And I think artists, like we can do that through music. Like that's the amazing thing. And through art, like just without even talking to someone, like if we're doing our craft at a high level and we accept that responsibility as part of our story, that selfless thing of like, let me sell this many records, whatever. You might say, I want to reach a lot of people. I was put here to reach a bunch of people with this musical message or this whatever, but to have that being an edifying thing for their story, so that when they come to hear you play, they leave there saying, even if they're not a musician or something, saying like, wow, my life just got lifted up. I want to get more in touch with my story now.
Yeah.
Because this, art has that kind of transformative power on the listener or the viewer or whatever. I think of all the, beautiful visual art and museums that I've been in. I'm so glad that I've, often taken advantage of that and how much that's uplifted and become a part of my story. Not that I'm painting anything. I don't know how to do that. Maybe I will. Maybe that'll become part of my story. But it doesn't matter. It's like it's part of like lifting me up as a human being. And then so I want to go and do more of that for other people through ways that I can do it.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the pitfalls of this and the difficulties. I think the main one is that to truly find and follow your own narrative takes an incredible amount of courage. It's very scary to go outside of what you think other people think of you.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Especially if it's a loved one, and we see this a lot with parents. Like this is the biggest place, and not even only bad parents,
or even peers or
peers,
other musicians. Think about Monk saying, the best sounding musician is the one who sounds most like themselves.
Yeah,
that's very telling, following your story kind of thing. But
I misunderstood him for a while. I was like, oh, the best pianist is the one who sounds like Monk the most. Okay, cool. I'm gonna try to sound like him.
No. But this is what I'm saying. It's way less scary to just copy someone else's narrative.
Yeah.
And it's easier. It's way easier.
Yeah.
It's more scary.
It's easy at first.
Yeah,
until
it
you get
gets
to that
frustrating.
self-awareness point
It
where you're
gets-
like, wow, I can't actually sound like them.
and it gets depressing.
It does.
And you're not making anything good. It's way scary to be like, okay, this is really me, and I'm going to put this me out there.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of courage.
But the world needs to hear your story.
Absolutely.
Like, and everybody listening, you got to know that. But that's the royal we. Like, our stories need to be told. Nobody
wants to hear you sound like Corey Henry.
No,
I want to hear Corey Henry sound
I want to
like
hear
Corey Henry. I want to hear you sound like you.
I know some guys and some gals that do a very good Corey Henry, but none of them are as good as Corey Henry.
For sure.
You know?
I don't want to hear you sound like Jacob Collier either.
That's right.
I want to listen to Jacob Collier all day long.
But those guys are both really good examples of
they're playing their
they're
story.
doing their
like,
story
for
yeah.
sure.
And you know, I think that what I love about this too is I think it's kind of in line with a lot of things that we've said, because some of you I know are thinking like, well, what did you say? Why are you always saying transcribe this and practice and listen?
That's different.
Yeah, but I think what hopefully we're always saying, and we need to always be saying, is practice, listen, transcribe, grow, be influenced. And then when you get a chance to get up and play, forget about all that and be you. Be confident in who you are. Have the courage to let that absorb you, but let it still be your story.
Yeah.
You know, and the community part. I mean, you know, there's some individuals that are like their story is so distinct and so separate that they don't fit into any mold. You know,
sure.
and that's great. And I'm trying to think of like, I mean, this is I don't know, Sun Ra. But even Sun Ra fits in. But I mean, like,
that's a one of a
Sun
kind
Ra was
experience.
telling his story, you know,
Yeah,
but he got people around him too to help tell that story and become a part of that journey. But what if he'd been like, no, I'm going to be like Duke Ellington, you know?
Yeah.
Now he's influenced by Duke Ellington, and it's from that lineage.
Yeah.
But
For sure.
you know, that's courage.
But
That's courage.
But Duke Ellington never went on stage with a full gold lame like
Right.
robe. But you know what? So you were talking
Lame.
about values, and I was just talking about. I was just thinking about what that really is practicing a point of view.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm fairly agreeable. As far as
Agreeable to a fault. That was just in a movie I saw.
I'm a bit agreeable to like if he's like, oh, I really like that. I'll be like, oh yeah, man, I like that too. You know?
Right.
But so I actually have to practice being like, you know what, I don't like that.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna
You're
have
not
my
good at that.
own.
You're not good at
I'm
that.
terrible at that.
Maybe that's part of your story.
But I'm trying to work on actually. But I like, you know, it's in there that I think I don't like it. It's just I'm an agreeable person. So
Right.
for me, and I know a lot of people like me, you need to work on your point of view.
That's right.
Those are your guidelines. You know,
That's right.
so every day think of something that you don't like.
That's
if
right.
Or if you don't like anything,
And
maybe you're the
bragging if-
opposite. Maybe you're a disagreeable to a fault. If you don't like anything, maybe try to find the sunlight on some of the stuff that you're listening to.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think too, it's, you know, what do they say? It ain't bragging if you can back it up, right? But I think, yeah, all these things are about the journey and the story. And the great thing too is, just as improvisers, what we can really weave this into is the actual craft of playing a solo and writing a composition and putting together a performance that makes sense. That's storytelling. So when you start to get and realize how much of your life, and every day is a story, you know, what it is like, you know, kind of the world dominant culture, because certain people and institutions and countries and whatever, way above my pay grade to figure all that out. But there's forces in the world that are manifested through, you know, institutions and things that want to kind of make us all into be in a coma and not realize that we're part of a story every day. Like, you have to follow this. The worst is like not even saying, I'm going to follow the story of my parents. I want you to be a doctor or a lawyer.
Bro,
or whatever.
are we about to steal the Declaration of Independence?
Let's do it. Come on with us. Come on, you'll hear listeners. We're going to go to Philadelphia. Is it in Philadelphia?
No,
Boston?
man, it's at the Smithsonian.
Smithsonian?
Smithsonian.
Smithsonian.
How do you say it?
This episode is sponsored by Spindrift. I don't know why.
You know who did follow their own narrative?
Who?
Is our buddy Tom Townsend.
Tom Townsend.
Founder of Pianos for People.
Yes.
And that's really what we're talking about today.
Yep.
And if you buy
Giving
any,
Tuesday.
If you go to it's Giving Tuesday. If you go to openstudiojazz.com, you buy any course or anything that we have.
Yeah.
A portion of the proceeds will go to help Pianos for People, giving lessons to children who can't afford them, and giving pianos to families that can't afford them.
That's right. And actually, you know what? I'm about to call an audible and up the ante here. Is that okay? You look nervous. This is part of my story, though, man. I'm about to up the ante. We'd love for you to buy a course and to donate that way. But also, if you would like to, we're going to be making our own donation, you know, as we have before. But especially for Giving Tuesday, 2 pianos for people. So anybody who just makes a straight donation, and we're going to link right there. Go to openstudiojazz.com. You'll be able to see and go directly to Pianos for People's website, and you can donate there. But we're going to match.
We're going to match.
We're going to match 100% of whatever people give directly as well. if you have it upon your heart and you have the resources, to do that. And if we do too, I think we will. No, I know we got a generous group, but anyway, that would be great. And we're going to do more stuff ongoing. Don't feel pressure. I can only do it today. Do it if you can and you have a minute. And don't, if you want to go gift a course, you can give that way. No problem. Either way.
For sure.
And there's no code today, no discount. All that stuff that would have gone there is going to go to Pianos for People. So,
yeah.
Until tomorrow.
You'll hear it.
You'll give it.